What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about something that's a little bit difficult for me to talk about. Who am I kidding? I love these things. So I am a fly rod addict. I have a lot of fly rods, me and Kimberly both. I have quite a bit more than she does, but like I've told her, all my rods are her rods. She can use them whenever she wants, except for a couple. Today I just brought my 5 weights and a couple of Kimberly's 5 weights over here to go over some of the ins and outs of fly fishing. If you're a beginner, novice, if you're just getting into it, if you've ever had any questions on it, this is a video just to go over the most popular weight of fly rod out there, and that's the 5 weight. So that's why we got our 5 weights lined up here on the shelf here. All right, so our 5 weight fly rod collection runs the gambit in length, and some are 5'6", some are 4'5", and in price point. We have over here, starting at the most expensive, you have your Sage 1, RL Winston. This is a BX2, so it's the older model. Sage VXP, Orvis Recon, Redington Classic Trout, the Redington Pursuit. Two of my favorite rods are the Cabela's CGR edition. I like the CGTs a little bit better, but that's a different video. We talk about fiberglass rods. Kimberly's Copper River Grasshopper in pink, great little rod, 8' 5 weight, super sensitive, good rod. And then the Ultra Glass 8' 5 weight, which is a $30 rod that you can get off Amazon. It's a fiberglass rod that's a lot of fun to go out there and catch fish on. So as you can see, I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get into the 5 weight fly rod game. All the way from $30 to around $800, depending on where you get them at. The Sage 1 we purchased off eBay. It's a great way to get rods. They discontinued the model. The next year it's up on eBay for somebody from a fly shop that can't sell it, or somebody traded it in on a newer rod. It's a great way to pick up rods at an inexpensive price. Not only do these all have different lengths, they are all 5 weights, but they all have different actions. Sage 1 is a very fast action, very tip flex heavy. Great casting rod if you really want to put the effort in, learn how to cast, and get out there. It's not a beginner rod. I wouldn't recommend a Sage 1 for a new fly fisherman. Now the RL Winston is a much softer rod, great casting rod. I actually love this rod because I'm a big fan of fiberglass rods. I fish mostly fast action rods, but I'm a real big fan of this rod just when you want to get out there, throw dries, throw smaller nymphs and stuff. Awesome rod. And then it goes down the gambit from there, semi-fast, fast, super slow. Another great thing about the 5 weight rod is you can get them in different lengths. The 9' 5 weight is the most popular fly rod on the market for beginners. You can throw smaller streamers, you can throw dry flies, you can throw nymphs, you can throw sinking line. I mean, you could almost do everything you need with a 9' 5 weight. So if you're only looking for one rod, I would go with the 9' 5 weight hands down. I'm not a big fan of only having one rod. That's why we have about 32, I think, right now, maybe a couple more. But a 9' 6, which the Winston and the 1 are, the Sage 1 are great rods for the float tube, for the kayak, bigger rivers. Gives you that little bit to be able to get out there, high stick that rod when you're, looking for deeper pools and fishing different styles of stuff. Then you have in here, I think these are all 9' 5 weights. Your standard rod. That is, like I said, the #1 beginner rod out there. You have super fast action in the VXP, one of the fastest rods Sage ever made. The XP, the Sage VXP was actually brought back by Cabela's as a special run. They don't have them anymore, you can't get them anymore, but it's a great little rod if you find them, if you like that older Sage style. Then you have the Recon, which is more of a mid-flex, a little bit slower rod, great casting rod. I would take the Recon over some of the newer Helioses, the Helios 3F and the Helios 3P or whatever it is. Two great rods. The Classic Trout is going to be even a softer rod than the Recon. I think Redington's still making these, or you can pick them up on the aftermarket. Great rod for a beginner, easy casting, going to get your fly out there really well. Great rod to begin with. The Pursuit, as you can see, has been fished a lot. Awesome little rod. Just having your truck ready to go. It's a little bit faster than the Classic Trout, but it's still really, really moderate action, mid-flex rod. Then you have the CGRs. Now we have a 7' and a 7' 6" 5 weight. A lot of guys don't like those smaller rods. I fish them a lot. My small stream rods, all the way from 5'9" up to a 7'6" rod, are great for those tight creeks that you're going to find out here in Arizona and a lot of the back east. Those little small creeks where those little trout live. These short little rods are a lot harder to cast and get used to, but they are great in those tight situations for bow and arrow casts, for flipping a fly out there into the water, for fishing them really well. Then you have like an 8-foot and an 8-foot here. Those are great rods as well. Can pretty much do everything. As a 9-foot can, just a little bit shorter. Takes a little bit getting used to. One thing to look for when you're looking for a fly rod, if you're a beginner, novice, even if you're experienced, is the feel of the rod. I mean, you'll see a lot of guys in fly shops just waving them around, you know, trying to figure out, oh, is this a tip flex or is this a whatever? If you go to pick out a new fly rod, cast it. Ask questions. Ask the dealer, like, what kind of line is this? Are you throwing a 5-weight with a 5.5 or an oversized line on it? I can change the feel of the fly rod. Like the VXP, when I first got it, I wasn't as used to fast action rods as I am now. So when I got the VXP, I actually put a 6-weight line on it. Super fast rod, brought it down to a moderate rod. That way it was a little bit easier for me to get used to. Now I like the 5-weight line on there just because I'm used to faster rods like the Sage 1, my Sage Method, a couple other rods I have that are fast action rods. So always ask those questions. Always cast a rod before you purchase it. I don't do that because, like I said, I'm addicted to fly rods. So I will purchase a rod off eBay, off Amazon, order from a dealer, whatever, just because I've read the description. I know what I think that rod should cast like. It doesn't always end up like that. I don't always like the rod. I don't sell the rod because I'm going to fish it no matter what. When you get into casting for quite a while, you get used to the different feels of the rods. Also, look for rods that, you know, you have a double wells on this one like this. You have a single wells here. You have a cigar grip. I mean, get used to knowing the different styles of the fly rods. Do a little bit of homework when you're looking into them. When you're looking to get a new fly rod, also take fly rod reviews. Take them with a grain of salt. A lot of people out there like a certain action of a fly rod. Kimberly likes a mid-flex fly rod. She's getting used to the faster action rods, but it takes time. Your casting has to be on point. You can't make mistakes with the fast action rod. If you don't pause long enough on your back cast, or if you don't come forward as fast as you went back, you're going to have issues casting. There's no forgiveness in a faster action rod. With a slower action rod, it takes a little more time to catch up, so your line is going to come back as you're coming forward. That rod can actually catch up because of the action of the rod allows for that. It's softer. So there's more forgiveness in a softer action rod than there is a fast action rod. Some of those dealers out there really like certain types of rod, and you'll be able to see that. If you see somebody like, oh, we really like the G-Loomis GX whatever it is, GX3 I believe it is, that's a very soft action rod. It's a moderate action rod. Some guys really like that. I personally like a faster action rod. You may like a softer action rod. It depends on what you're doing, what kind of fishing you're doing. If you're going to a small stream where there's little trout, you're not going to take a super fast action rod. Like if I'm going to go fish certain creeks here in Arizona, I'm not going to take my Sage Dart, which is a fast action 7'6" 3-weight. I'm probably going to take like one of the CGRs in a 2-weight, or the Butter Stick in the 3-weight, or the Echo in a 2-weight, or my Butter Stick in a 1-weight. I'm going to fish those rods more on those smaller fish, smaller creeks with the smaller fish. Just because, it is a sport to us, and catching small fish on big rods is never fun. They don't put a bend in it, they don't fight very hard. It's just not fun all the way around. So also think about what kind of style of fishing you're going to do. If you're going to go to a big stillwater river and you're going to be throwing sinking line and nymphs or streamers to trout, you might want to look for a little bit of faster action rod, because those sinking lines are a little bit typically heavier than your standard floating line. So they're going to bend that rod a little bit more. So your moderate action rod now goes to a slow action rod because of the weight of that sinking line and bigger flies. So that's why when you're looking at fly rods, it's kind of one of those things where you're never going to have just one. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is, or fortunately for me, because I love to collect fly rods, is you're always going to be wanting, oh, what's next? What rod will do this better? What rod will do that better? There's probably 3 rods out there that you can get away with fishing most of your stuff, depending on where you live. Like if you live here in Arizona, a short, small stream rod in a lighter weight, 3 weight, is typically the most popular. A longer 5 weight, 9 foot, 9'6", even 8'6", great rod. And then a 7 or 8 weight. I have an 8, a 9, and a 10 weight. I don't use them very often just because it's not as sporting to me. If I'm going after big bass, I'll typically take a 5 weight or a 6 weight just because I like to the fight of the fish a little bit more on those rods than I do on my 8, 9, 10 weights. And those are the biggest tips I can have for you when you're searching for a new rod is go cast them. Go to a actual fly shop. Sportsman's Warehouse, Bass Pro, Cabela's, those places are good. For a lot of things, they're not the best for fly fishermen, at least not here in Arizona. Your state might be different. Your state might be more geared towards that style stuff. Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, a lot of guys fly fish up there. It's not a big deal out here in Arizona. But if you're gonna go get a new fly rod, go to a certified shop. The small mom and pop shops, go to them and just say, hey, go on a weekday or early morning on a Saturday. A lot of times they'll have fly casting classes. You'll be able to cast a couple rods out there with other people, feel what they feel like. And when you go to cast a rod, always cast it against other rods. I always tell people a fly rod's going to pick you when you're casting, because you're going to pick up a fly rod and it's going to feel clunky in your hand, you're not going to be able to cast it, and you're going to hate life, or you're going to pick up a fly rod and you're like, oh, this is the rod for me. And as you progress as a fly fisherman, those rods are going to become different. When I first started fly fishing, I was more of a moderate action, softer tip kind of fly rod guy. As I got more into fly fishing and I cast more and I cast different rods, I found that actually a fast action rod suits my casting style much better than a slow or a moderate action rod, or a mid flex or a tip flex rod. It's just something you're going to learn over time. Fly rods are not one size fits all. What works for me may not work for you. I've seen it between people I fish with. I might love my Sage Method, which is a super fast 6 weight rod. You put that in somebody else's hand and they're not going to like it at all. But you put like this Winston in their hand, that's a softer action rod, they love it. They cast it superbly. They can throw a line out there. They can double haul. They can do whatever they need to do with that rod. But everybody's casting style and everybody's feel for a fly rod is different. So when you cast rods, cast multiple rods against each other. And cast different rods at different price points against each other. I'm not saying, the one thing I would never advocate for is buying the most expensive fly rod on a shelf. Some people can do that, some people have the money to do that, and some people want to do that. I will never advocate for that. I advocate to buy the fly rod that works best for you, that you cast well, that you enjoy fishing. Because if you don't enjoy fishing with a fly rod, you're not going to do it. So you've just wasted money, whether it's $800 for the fly rod plus $300 for a reel, or it's $100 off eBay for an entire kit. If you don't fish with it, it's a waste of money either way. It's just how much money are you wasting. So you need to enjoy fishing with it to be able to do it. Go out there, cast as many rods as you can, and then look through rods online, or purchase that rod from that local shop, support the local shop, or purchase the rod online from another shop or on Amazon, which everybody buys from now, that has similar characteristics of the rod you're looking for. If it's a moderate mid-flex rod, it's probably going to cast the same as this moderate mid-flex rod. Not always the case, but most places, if you order them, you have a 30 to 90 day return policy. Get the rod, cast it right away. If you don't like it, send it back. So those are my tips when you're looking for a new fly rod. We're probably going to do quite a few more of these videos, show the entire collection. Go over 1 weights, 2 weights, 3 weights, 4 weights, 5 weights, 6 weights. I don't own a 7 weight. That's one of the only sizes that I do not own. Above 10, like 12, 13, 14, 15. just don't have a need for them. I might as well just fish with my bass rods, put some fly line on there. It's about the same. It's like a broomstick. But we will go over different rods. We'll go over fiberglass versus standard carbon rods, or modulus rods, and the resurgence of fiberglass. I think we're up to 10 or 11 fiberglass fly rods in our collection now. I absolutely love them. I love fishing with them. I love chasing bass, chasing trout, chasing whatever with them, just because they have more of a feel. They're a little bit heavier rod, but they have that feel of a bamboo style fly rod, which I love. I own one bamboo fly rod. I actually refinished it myself. Can't afford to get any other ones. I mean, you're talking $25,000 to $5,000 for a really nice bamboo fly rod. If you can afford those, do it. They're awesome. So that's going to do it for today on our fly rod collection here. Like I said, we're going to make some other videos. Get out there. Weather wasn't permitting for us to go out fishing today. It rained all night. The wind's blowing. Hopefully tomorrow it's supposed to warm up, and then Friday get even better. We're going to be heading up north this weekend, do a little trout fishing. Probably take my pops out on the water, do a little fishing with him. Maybe do a catch, clean, and cook on some trout up there if we can catch any. We'll see. I'm going to take the regular spinning rods for that. For some reason, I have a problem catching trout on a fly rod and keeping them. It's just a thing that I have. I'd rather let them go if I catch them on the fly rod. If I catch them on bait or on artificial lures, it's not the same. I'll keep them once in a while, depending on the water source. Most of our lakes up there catch and keep anyways. There's only a few lakes up in the White Mountains that I won't keep fish from. Thanks for everybody for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. It's the way you can see new videos dropping. Like the video, leave us a comment, whatever you want to tell us. If you have any questions on fly rods, drop them down there. We'll be happy to answer them. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.